and welcome to another episode of Oops All Dragons, NPR edition, I guess. I was gonna say, I'm your humble Dungeon Master, Brendan Lyons. I've been watching entirely too much Dimension 20.
You should have just went with it.
Oh man, we'll get into it, but I've been watching a lot of stuff lately.
Okay,
which
cool.
is weird for me. I've actually been consuming media. We'll get into it. I'm Lisa, and then you're hearing Varun talking.
Yeah.
And then we've also got friend of the pod, Lucas, back on to redeem himself from the first episode we did, and also he's got some new stuff to tell us.
Yeah. So to set the stage, Lucas, Azif On Q, you probably hear his name at the end of every episode. He has been on before, but there were audio issues during that episode that made him sound like he was coming through a tin can. So
I wanted to cry.
Which we didn't come through when we were recording. You sounded okay, at least to our ears recording, but then the final product was half unlistenable. So he wanted a redemption arc. So we're going to take down that original episode. So if there's going to be a gap really early on if you're listening from the beginning. But don't worry, because he's going to give a redo right here. If you want to listen to that original episode, we'll still put it up on the Patreon, because he does have some good insights, even though the audio quality isn't super great.
Yeah. I tried. I really did. And it sucks, too, because, I had so much fun recording it.
It was a good episode,
and, I still remember some questions, and, I've improved on it and kind of remembered things I should have included certain things, but now I kind of, jotted them down. That's how it always goes,
man. I cannot tell you how, both of us, how many times we've gotten done with the episode, and we're like, crap! We didn't ask about this thing.
No regrets.
The main thing that almost after every recording, Varun goes, "Wait, hold on. We need to have this conversation." Is food opinions?
Yes.
Pineapple on pizza. The correct way to do your cereal.
Bone in or boneless chicken.
Bone in or boneless chicken.
Can I please have one boneless Jamocha shake?
If it's hot and ready, I'm eating it.
I
don't have
strong.
I'm one of the few people who doesn't have very strong opinions on any of these things.
Do we want to do that instead of what we've been up to, or do you want to talk about Dimension 20?
Okay, I just have to talk about
Just
this.
talk about it.
Okay, man, just vent about it. That and House of Dragons.
What have we been up to outside of the tabletop realm? It's kind of still adjacent, but it's consuming media, Lisa.
It's actually consuming media. My answer is not just, I've been working.
I've been doing nothing. I've been staring at the wall.
I really wish I was staring at the wall. I'm not staring at the wall. I'm kept very busy. Thank you very much. I don't know what you do at your job. Glad you get paid for wall staring. I don't. Anyways,
I wish.
What I do...
The DDR machine.
I started watching some Dimension 20, which is the actual play show put out by College Humor.
It's College Humor, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because their streaming service is called Dropout. Get it? Dropout College. Haha, party hard. And because I had been seeing some stuff, clips from it and stuff before, it comes up on my For You page and stuff, and it looked funny. It looked interesting. The cast seemed cool and funny, and so I paid the $5 to get into this streaming service, and oh my god, maybe the best $5 a month I spend, honestly.
Okay.
They have a couple of funny shows, but what they do on Dimension 20, the kind of shit that they're doing on there, it's kind of blowing my mind. Currently, every season they do a different game and a different story, a different campaign. They do shorter campaigns. It's easier and a little bit more accessible than Critical Role at this point, just because there's not 1,500 hours of content to go through. You can choose which campaign you watch, and it's you don't need to have watched all the campaigns to get context.
It's not the D&D equivalent of the MCU.
It's not the D&D equivalent of One Piece.
Which I'll bring up later.
And the current campaign is called A Court of Fey and Flowers. It's DM'd by Abria Iyengar, who,
I've seen a little bit of
who she's incredible, and she's been, like, you know, guest DMing on, like, everybody's shows because everybody loves her. And as they should, she is absolutely brilliant. And this current game is absolutely blowing my mind because it's doing something with this game that, like, I didn't even think of, you know. It's a Regency-themed game. So instead of, you know, monsters and fights, it's like all of the players are playing like Archfey or like Archfey, and they're basically playing this like political, interpersonal, diplomatic game, and it's got a Bridgerton Pride and Prejudice kind of thing.
I know one of those. I love Bridgerton.
Oh God! If you like Bridgerton, you should.
You want
the
Bridgerton
first episode,
with fairies.
The first episode of it they put up on their YouTube just to give you like
I have to take a look at that
taste of it. Yeah, like I highly, highly, highly recommend it because like I think there's 2 episodes left as of recording for the end of the season. It's like a 10 episode campaign, so like super accessible, super short, and they actually like edit it. It's not long. Okay. So they're like an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is so much easier than 4 hours.
That was going to be my first question. How long?
And like everybody on there they're just like, obviously, again, like these are people doing theater, you know, it's not just a game. It's improv theater, and all of the players in Abria, they're like absolutely geniuses at improv. And like it's just so good. It's so good. And I just, it's really, I spend all day now just, I have my favorite character and I just spin her 3D model in my mind all day. Like, that's what I do. I got the Blorbo from my shows.
Very
and I spin
specific.
him around in my head. I just rotate him. Just rotating in my head all day. That's, it's so good.
Okay. Do you want to give any details, or do you want to just...
You kind of just have to watch it. Also, just because I'm terrible at explaining things. So...
What's one moment that, like... What's the one moment that sold you?
Like, it's hard for me to... Like, I know what my current, like, favorite moment is, but, like, it's kind of a spoiler if you do end up wanting to watch it, so, like, I don't want to say. But, like...
Was there something in the first episode? Because I know when I'm watching actual play stuff, it like there's a certain length of time I'll give it to kind of grab me, and then if it, like, for whatever reason, if the group doesn't grab me, or the character, the play style, or whatever doesn't grab me within, you know, like half an hour, whatever it is, maybe even less time, I'm just gonna drop it because I don't have 4 hours to commit to let this get good.
Well, Varun, here's the thing, is that, like, when... we all know that the first session of a game is never, like... It's not going to be the most interesting thing, but, like, I think that the way that they chose to introduce each of the characters, the way that Abria likes to introduce characters is very interesting. She'll do these, like, vignettes with each person and like bring them in together. In the very first episode, there's two of the player characters are cousins. They're the Lords of the Wing, so they're bird people, and they come and they just make this like really dramatic grand entrance, and they're just hilarious from jump. And one of the other player characters who's playing like the Master of Ceremonies, who's like sort of like the party planner of the event that the campaign takes place during, like is like, oh, you guys always make a mess at these parties, so here's what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically make a wager, and if you don't manage to do XYZ by the end of this event, then you lose, and if you do manage it, you win. Like it, and it's like it's an improvised thing, but it ends up fitting like something else that's going on with those bird guys perfectly, where like their grandfather's trying to tell them like they have to get into a political marriage, but the challenge is that by the end of the week, basically they have to actually fall in love.
Oh.
and so it's like a conflicting challenge.
Interesting.
And it was completely improvised, and it ended up being it ends up being like one of like the main plot lines. Mm-hmm. What really impresses me is Abria as a DM, her ability to take little things that the players do, and she plays with them, and I don't know, I just think she's just really good fucking DM.
Are they like little quirks that she tends to abuse, and like she throws it on like their head, like, oh, you like doing this particular thing, let me like toss it on your head and like kind of like right back at you, like kind of toy with them?
Yeah,
is it more manipulative?
It's where because like they'll do they do like an after show thing where like all the players sit and discuss what just happened in the episode, and I think Brendan pointed out, because Brendan Lee Mulligan's usually the DM. He's like the main guy for Dimension 20, but he's actually a player in this campaign. And something he said about Abria's style is that instead of I could be wrong. I may be saying wrong things, but listen, it's early. Don't quote me on things. But one of them says that basically instead of just presenting challenges and presenting like problems, the things that she presents the players with in this game is opportunities, and the opportunities are a problem. It's I just don't know how to explain it. I just know that like
just watch it.
It's just please just watch it. Please just watch it. I need to be able to talk about it.
Okay. I will watch
Anyways.
it. I have been meaning to watch at least that first episode they had on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I will and you said hour and a half, even 2 hours is still pretty decent for an actual play show. So yeah, I'll give it a look.
Don't be a rules lawyer about it. I'm going to tell you this.
Sure.
Though, because like they play fast and loose with the rules.
That's fine.
It's very much like, is it cool? Yeah, we're going to let it happen.
Yeah.
Does it fit? They very much play way more for the sake of story than for the sake of like game.
Rules.
Yeah, exactly. Other stuff I've been watching, I started watching Midnight Mass because even though that's a show from like last year, so it's old news. But
I have opinions on that one, but
yeah, I've been in the mood for something spooky. No, I've only watched like the first episode and a half, but the end of the first episode alone, I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah, it's real good.
I'm down. I'm here. The cats washing up on the beach. Oh my god. Mm-hmm. Just like the writing for me is very simple but good, effective, efficient. Where it's like they set something up at the beginning, and like one character mentions, oh yeah, all the stuff from the uplands washes up on our side of the beach. I know what washes down here because I'm the one that cleans it up. And then the end of the episode, all these cats, yeah. It's good. It's good. What can I say?
I want to see how you feel about it by the end, because at least in our household, it was very divisive. I have opinions, but I don't want to say anything right now because it would be spoilerific.
We'll circle back to it once I manage to finish it. Yeah, that's been me.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I'll throw it over to Lucas. I'll be last. I'm pretty boring this week.
Nah. This is my redemption arc. You first. I'm holding open the door.
Fine. You're last.
I haven't seen you in forever, dude.
You saw me like 2 days ago, man.
I haven't seen you in forever, dude.
Wow.
Wow. Yesterday after a year.
And just aside, Lucas is the nicest man on the planet. I say in some cases too nice for his own good. But at least on my end, I've been continuing to play SD Gundam Battle Alliance, just playing all of the DLC that came out for it. Not doing Gundam Evolution. I know a lot of the Gundam fans are playing that right now, but I don't know. It's not my thing. And then realizing that there's still more English Gundam manga that's been released that I still need to get, so my collection isn't complete just yet. And preparing for a hurricane, pretty much.
Oh, yeah!
We've got that going on.
That's what's... You know, my mom called me last night about that, and I'm like, listen, if it's less than a Category 3, I don't care.
Guess what? It's Category 3.
God damn it. Well, no, I thought it was like a tropical storm still, and it might get to Category 3.
I was gonna say, it might get there. So...
whenever they say it might get there, it'll get to like 1.5.
Let's see how it goes. I am more afraid for St. Augustine because last time any sort of storm or whatever passed through there, the roads were flooded to the point where people were just canoeing down the street. So,
Oh, Florida, you lawless place.
Yeah,
Listen, I have slept through a Category 2 hurricane. Like, went to bed, woke up, I missed the whole damn thing.
Florida seems like a colorful, lawless swamp.
We're not going to talk about the fact we live right next to the Bermuda Triangle.
We don't live.
It's weird down
next
here,
to the
dude.
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, we're like right next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like right there. No matter,
It's like
no
right
wonder
off
weird
South
stuff
Beach.
happens.
All right.
It's right off South Beach.
I think there's something in the water, dude.
Well, there's lots of things in the water.
I was gonna say there's a lot of things in the water.
Though, actually,
Y'all
kind of
still
want to
got
know.
those brain-eating amoebas?
Probably it's Florida.
Amoebas. Oh my god. I kind of want to know if SD Gundam Alliance is actually as good as like people say it is. And then there's the new Gundam Evolution that came out.
Yeah. I like SD Gundam Battle Alliance because it's a team game. I don't think there's any competitive aspect to it at this moment, but if you just like the characters and you want to jump online and play with people and play essentially like a better Muso game, then definitely pick it up. Evolution, it seems it's
Overwatch.
It's
For
Overwatch.
Gundam.
It's Gundam Overwatch. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's slipping me. But I don't play those sorts of games just because, like, I played them a little bit. I don't know. I got tired of, like, first-person shooters a while ago with, like, Halo and COD and all that stuff. So I just fell off and I just, like, doing my own thing. Especially because, like, battle passes and skins and all this, like, really superfluous stuff to, like, the actual gameplay becomes the focus of the game. So... none of that particularly interested me. Let's see if it stays, relevant next week, because a lot of these shooters come out, they're really popular for a week, and then immediately drops off.
It's okay. At least we have Maxi Boost, dude.
Yeah, Maxi Boost is timeless. Hope I can get to the next tournament down here whenever that happens. But that's what I have been up to. Lucas, you're the ringer here. What have you been up to, man?
Mostly studying and drawing. Like, since the last episode, you guys have been asking me to draw a couple more things, and I felt really bad because my art needs to improve as these wallpapers are definitely going to get more, like, adventurous and more exotic with different colored dragons, especially. Mm-hmm. So I picked up books on how to draw dragons, and they're from the works of William O'Connor, who designed the Dracopedia books, along with a lot of artists that collaborated in the field guides, which are like fictional dragons, but they live in the real world, and some of them are extinct or endangered and stuff like that.
You show me this book. It's a cool book.
Yeah. I wanted to get a better grasp of, well, once we're done with all the dragons, what's left? What could we possibly fight?
He says, when we get done with the dragons, Lucas, do you know how many dragons there are?
Well, there's a lot of dragons, but there's like different designs depending on where Dot wants to drop Tusk at the drop of a hat, in what situation she wants to put him in that'll definitely kill the average man. So a lot of it will teach me how to draw these.
What? The minimum 18 types of dragons I could just think of on the top of my head?
I want to draw
18 years of this podcast? Like, sure, you know what? Think of something else.
Gotcha. Let's see. I've been reading manga, but I've been mostly catching up on One Piece.
Hell yeah.
So, like, when I get to episode 700, I'm going to get the Jinbei tattoo. I'm on, like, 600. I'm going to get the sun tattoo, like, right on my left arm.
Okay, cool.
I haven't been watching Midnight Mass like you guys.
I watched it a while ago. She's just catching up now.
Yeah, I've been watching the Fear Street movies by R.L. Stein.
Those are good.
I didn't expect to love them so much. Mm-hmm. Especially since it's like Halloween right around the corner as of recording this. So me and Kat, my girlfriend, we picked it up, and like, this is not the books we grew up with. This is like intended for adults.
It's fairly gory and fairly sex-filled at certain points.
It's based on the Fear Street books, which I've never read, but now I kind of want to. I didn't know they existed. I grew up on Goosebumps, so... Mm. But there's like... If you've seen the movies, you know, their choice of lighting is that it's never just dark. It's always dark, but with a certain particular tinge of light, which reminds me of Outlaw Star, but that's on a whole other topic. I loved the movies more than I thought I would. I really did.
There's three of them, right? It's
yes.
There's one that's like modern day, and there's one that's the 80s, and then one that's way back in the day, right?
So I think it's 1999. I know that one is 1978, and then it's 1666.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, if you haven't watched them, or anybody who's reading, like, anybody who read Fear Street, I recommend. Anybody who hasn't read Fear Street, I recommend.
They're still pretty good horror movies. If you're into kind of I would say like the 80s slasher type of movie, but updated a bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That type of
it captures the aesthetic very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
Which one are you on?
I completed all of them. And I finished them yesterday with Kat. I loved them.
How'd you like the twist at the end?
It gives you that like little hook at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like in the first movie, they hinted at the plot twist, and I didn't pay mind. But me and Kat would occasionally pause it, and we would come up with theories.
I didn't see that coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I can't spoil it. Just like how Lisa said, like there's so many good things, and I can't spoil anything about them. The only gripe is
twist
that
in a horror movie. Oh,
yeah. The only gripe is like that each movie is around 2 hours long, and there's 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So it's a commitment.
It's a multiple day sort of situation, unless you have literally an entire like day to like sit down and watch all of them together. But yeah, me and Nova, we did it over like a week. We just watched one day, then took a break another day because of like work and stuff. But that was pretty good. And they have Sadie Sick from
The Stranger Things.
The Stranger Things in the second one.
Yep.
And I believe Gillian Jacobs from Community as her adult self in the third movie.
I didn't know that, but I did see that, like, I've seen her in Stranger Things, so I kind of already picked up on that. I'm actually surprised there weren't a lot of, like, actors I immediately recognized, and the actors were actually, like, really fun throughout the entire movie. But still, like, even bringing this up, I'll go into hours of conversation with this movie, and still, we're here for a reason. We want to make a
spoiler cast, but
yeah, I can't spoil it. Yeah, I can't.
It's definitely one of those that don't, like, if you're gonna watch it, go in fresh. Don't read about it ahead of time, because there are a couple twists and one big twist at the end that you don't want to know going in.
Oh yeah, there's twists in like every
single one.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the big one at the end.
Damn, now I want to watch these.
They're good. I don't even watch
horror
movies, but I enjoyed them.
Like, just quickly off the premise, it's about 2 towns that hate each other. One's called Sunnyvale, and the other's called Shadyside. Shadyside, they're supposedly cursed. Sunnyvalers, they get away with everything. They have, like, the best houses. They have the best schools. They have the best luck. Like, it's just this whole scenario where this town is supposedly cursed by a witch. And so these teenagers have to find out, like, what's causing them, because they put themselves they have to find out because they put themselves in a situation where if they don't solve it, they will die. And this, I think, like, the entire movies, although there's 3 of them, happen in less than about a week.
Wow. It's a lot of in media res and a lot of jumping around in time with flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, and there's always that mystery, but still, it's pretty good. I would really recommend it.
Netflix,
like,
they're very good.
Yeah, still.
So wait, the towns are called Sunnyvale and what?
Shady Side.
Yeah, Shady Side.
They couldn't call it Nightvale.
Well, I will give credit where credit is due. There is actually a huge... It's got to be an homage to Camp Crystal Lake. In the second movie, it's called Camp Nightwing. And it genuinely looks like the same set from Friday the 13th, Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look in the back, I think there's an Evil Dead reference in the back because all the woods look like something Ash would be in.
I think they did Shady Side as just a dig to just make it as blunt as possible. Like, everyone from that town is shady.
And, like, yes, every now and then somebody, not spoiler, it's just how it is. It's very apparent within the first 20 minutes. There will be randomly, out of no reason, somebody will act up and become a killer, and people believe that it's the witch's curse. Are they crazy? Are they haunted? Why? And, like I said, it's rated R for a reason. It gets very bloody for an R.L. Stine novel. People forget that he can really tap into that. Mm-hmm. He's watched the movies and has given it his golden seal of approval.
Mm-hmm. Oh, see, I always liked that. I always like to know that the author is approving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's watched all of them, and I kind of was looking around. Is he going to do a cameo in this one, in the Goosebumps book, in the Goosebumps movie? I mean, with Jack Black.
So Lisa, you want that Earthsea adaptation that Ursula K. Le Guin
would approve? Yeah,
would approve of. Give the seal of approval.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we deserve.
Okay. So, I think we've all caught up on the out-of-tabletop stuff. So, moving into the realm of the D&D, why we're here
We should
today.
Pull up our seats, put down our DM screens, and talk.
Okay. So, Lucas, again, some folks may have heard the other episode, but we're giving you a redo, and we're going to take down the old one just because of the quality. So, what got you into D&D, sir?
It started in high school. There used to be a comic book store right next to the campus, and it's called Heroes and Villains. The store didn't even last more than 3 years. It's been shut down for a while, almost 10, but I'd go there practically every day. I went with my friends, my future friends, that's where I met them. It was a welcoming place to sit down and talk. Though, at some point, my group was invited to play D&D. Everyone was invited except me. No, even if I had known how to play prior to that, I still wouldn't have been invited. The DM was the older brother of a friend. The older brother didn't like me, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I was a jerk at the time. I was an angsty emo dipstick, essentially. I would listen in though.
From how you are today.
I
would not envision you being an angsty dude.
Dude, I was the worst, honestly. I was the type of teenager that would think he's so cool, but he's nobody cares. And I really don't blame him. I would sit and listen in at the end of the table while I was reading manga, and I'd tune in from time to time, and I'd hear these really fascinating situations he'd drop them in. And that was, especially interesting was that these were all one-shots he created. None of them were from the internet, and I had, seen his composition book with the notes in them. All just a book. He didn't even need a DM screen. Mm-hmm. Granted, I'm glad I matured, because I probably would have been a disruptive player looking back at it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole situation felt like an inside joke. I'm pretty sure everyone at some point didn't understand what opportunity attack, roll with advantage, or even 5e meant, and that was me. So, they were using these terms, and they would recap it, during class, and I felt left out. The whole experience, despite being frustrated, Like, it encouraged me to always welcome players. It's also what I developed. I developed the kind of King Arthur mentality I forgot to mention, where I prefer round tables with ample space to hear each other, so no one feels left out, as I did. Like, so no one's at the edge of the table reading Full Metal Alchemist all alone. Yeah, that was the experience. That was my first experience, and I'm still kind of glad I went through that.
That's your first exposure, and yeah, like I said, wouldn't envision you to be an angsty guy at all, but you mellowed out in your intervening years. So
even as a player, like, I didn't even know what was going on. I asked people to make my character sheets for me because I was like angsty, like we just talked about. I was kind of dumb. I still kind of am.
So that was your first exposure, but
yeah,
when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was 17, and I walked into, Tate's. Like, Tate's... Yeah.
In South Florida knows Tate's.
I walked in, like, on a Wednesday, I believe. I want to say where it was, like, really busy. Mm-hmm. And so there was just open table. I jumped in. I had a character sheet, and they tweaked it so I would be up some levels. It was like a paradigm shift, because I was used to a DM being on the edge of a screen and just talking and giving situations, but that one guy, I forget his name, he was so nice. He brought chips for everybody, and he, like, encouraged me to role play and not metagame. What would my character do? And it really made me think. He described the whole alignment system to me and how to not be the edgy character. He'd always give me feedback, and it was really weird. I wasn't used to being treated so nicely. It's sad but true. I thought DMs were very controlling, like they operate the games, but it's actually vice versa. So yeah, like the players control the game, the DM just narrates and gives you the senses.
Yeah.
That was my first experience, official experience. Okay. Got my badge of honor. And then I stopped playing for 2 years because, and then I stopped playing for 2 years. I lost the mini that he gave me, and then I came back and I didn't even know what to do anymore. So, yeah, like that hobby didn't stick at first.
Wow, almost didn't have you play with us at Flynn's and everything.
Yeah, when I found out that mostly through Stranger Things that D&D was kind of like a big deal now, I opened up another time, like got the books. I got the player's handbook and I read through it all, and from there, like, my friends wanted me to DM, so we DM'd through the screen, like over a computer and stuff. And
okay.
Yeah. And then, like, I think 2 years after that, that's when I messaged you, like, hey, can I be a DM?
Yeah, we were just looking for players and DMs to play at the store, and just like, okay, yeah, this guy seems all right. And then you came in. I'm trying to remember how that started, because that was probably me running something for you guys, and then you wanted to be a DM. So we had you audition, essentially. Like,
yeah.
What are you gonna run? What sort of game would you run? And that's how you went.
I still mostly prefer one shots even to this day. Mm-hmm. Just to, like, make sure that because we're adults now, we have jobs, we have things that come up. Like, one shots, you don't really need any prior knowledge of a campaign. Just come in here, bring your awkward character into these awkward situations and have fun. Mm-hmm. Especially if you want to try out something quirky that your DM probably wouldn't allow you to play in his regular campaigns for sake of being annoying. Because I play a Kenku Paladin, and you know that.
You play a Kenku everything, man.
I love Kenkus.
Listen, you have to have a brand, okay?
Tiefling, Kenku. Mm-hmm.
Listen. Y'all love to talk to me about tieflings. I only have the one tiefling character, okay?
But it's iconic.
It's you two. Yeah. And it's the one that you will just always bring back because she's your girl.
That's my baby. Like, you can't. What are you?
Like,
My bad. Whatever.
I really like. Do you get into that mentality of what a tiefling would do? Because I do that for like a kenku. So I pull up my phone and I like find the most obnoxious ringtones as possible, and they sound like something a kenku would do to just irritate you, like the boing sound effect or the doorbell ringing.
Oh man, you really play into the Corvid.
Yep.
I love them. They're really cute. And now that the there's the Multiverse of Madness, I believe, where Kenku's changed a little bit, and now they're a little bit more fun to play.
They can choose to be small, so you can just be a small Birdman.
Very small, actually.
Just a little guy. Like,
I
feel like that's the perfect, if you're gonna play like a Danny DeVito. You play a small Kenku trash man, and he gets up on the ring and he starts throwing trash around.
This is why I hope if they make raccoon races, I'd love that.
Well, aren't the Ardlings? Well, no, the Ardlings are just like
they're celestial and they just take on
animal-headed people,
whatever animal they want.
I mean, like, listen,
there's like the Herringon.
You can make an argument for. I think was it in Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft that we got, or was that Tasha's that we got the like werewolves? Or no, I'm making things up.
Werewolves?
I mean,
I don't know anything about this game. Apparently, my brain is just like shat it all out.
You have to get back to playing, Lisa.
I really do. I really do.
Life has not been kind to you.
I stopped playing for like a month, and all of a sudden, Kenkus are a thing now. Oh, there's rabbit people, there's hippopotamus people. What did I miss?
There's a bunch of different variants at this point.
And yet there's no raccoons.
There's cat people and there's lion people. So I don't know if officially there's raccoon people. I don't think there are.
I'll make one.
I mean,
but they've also made it pretty easy to make one now.
Yeah, you could just play a tabaxi, like use tabaxi rules, but just describe a raccoon because.
Or do the custom lineage thing where you just kind of use bits of other races to cobble together what your raccoon person would be.
Though, I'm definitely gonna be like, I want to be a little merchant raccoon. It's like my wares are just junk, but somebody's gonna buy it anyways.
Yeah.
I want to steal things. I want to steal things and then sell it back to you.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, back to the thing at hand, because I'm just gonna be fascinated with Kenkus the entire time.
So, well, you know what? Let's take that little detour. So
let's take that detour.
You want to take a detour towards Kenkus?
Why are Kenkus so fascinating to you?
Let's take a quick break, and we will take this detour.
Yeah.
Okay. They are one of the very few races that are not only, they encourage you to be obnoxious, but they incentivize you to use sounds in ways that convey your emotions when you can't talk. Yes, you can copy people, but you can really only copy people so much to the point that, you're saying what they're saying, but that doesn't mean that's how you feel. You have to make sounds in some way, and you have to be creative with them, but there are other times where you shouldn't probably talk at all, because if you're trying to persuade somebody while there's a small little 3-foot bird next to you making boing sounds, it's not going to come in handy. And I think they included some mentions of Kenkus in what was it? I think Matt Mercer, one of his party members has a Kenku on him, but they might be annoying, who knows?
No, it's in the second campaign.
Okay.
It's an NPC that they find. Her name's
okay.
She's adorable, actually.
You just knew that off the top of your head.
Yes, this is my special interest. What do you want from me?
And
there are very few things I know.
They're very cute. They're very quirky. What can I say? And usually how the book portrays it is that they can copy anything, like, down to a T. They're forge masters, and a lot of the world perceives them as these sneaky little buggers who steal, mimic, copy, duplicate, forge, and resell. But I think they're like a little bit more than that. They're actually one of the few races I see that include quests in their actual lore. Their overarching goal is to even just find what caused this curse and to break it, to the point that all Kenkus at some point dedicate their lives to trying to find out how to break it so that they can fly and talk again. And it gives incentive to actually talk to your DM, like, hey, can we find a way to actually break it so I can fly? Especially since, it's kind of annoying that I can't talk.
Mm-hmm. That would be, and I've always thought about this whenever you tell me about this, that would be just like an insane campaign, because you already have the built-in lore excuse or motivation, I should say, that if you're playing a Kenku, you want to break this curse on yourself or on your race, to be able to speak and fly again.
Mm-hmm.
And just obviously it wouldn't be changing the lore itself unless Wizards eventually wants to do that, but that's kind of what makes the Kenkus unique. But doing a campaign around breaking this hereditary curse, I guess, on these bird people who have their Aarakocra cousins, who are just like the Chad versions of themselves.
It's really upsetting.
They look like eagles. They can fly. They can talk. They're just awesome. And then the Kenkus are just like.
To add insult to injury, they got like the Aarakocras that are the Chads, and then you got the Owlins that come in and they're like Giga Brain, like big brain.
Oh, yeah, there's owl people too.
And they can fly.
I forgot about that completely.
And like the Kenkus can't do anything except like steal.
I would absolutely want to make a campaign of either a group of Kenku or even you, just a Kenku, but you're gathering up your group of friends that you've made through your adventures, and you want to break this curse, and you have to deal with the piece of shit like jock Aarakocras and the super smart owl people along the way. I
can just imagine he's got like a Letterman jacket on, like, yeah bro, why can't you partake in flight?
Yeah, bro, don't you fly? Do you even fly?
Do you even fly, bro?
Like, sure.
Do you even fly, bro? Oh, no.
An all-birds campaign.
I really didn't think about how upsetting it is to be a bird person in a world with bird people where some of the bird people get to, have speech and, be cool, and you're like...
Just get all the cool stuff.
I can only say things I've heard other people say, and people just assume that I'm stealing at all times.
Oh,
and I have these feathers, but I can't fly.
It's help! I've fallen and I can't fly. and it's so bad because they name themselves. They have to name themselves after the sounds they think are most interesting.
Oh.
And so you're gonna be hearing that every time they describe themselves. So you better hope your Kenku isn't like something really obnoxious.
But by design, they're gonna be a little obnoxious.
Well, it could be worse. Don't tieflings, don't they die? Like, aren't they born dead or something? Like, I think that's kind of badass. Tieflings alone, their lore is actually pretty expansive, especially if you want to go to different dimensions, I believe, like different planes. I don't know specific.
I don't know if is that right?
I can't recall because I don't know all that much of tieflings, but I know by design they're pretty cool, and I kind of always wanted to play one. It's just that I don't know how to play one. now that I've just been so ingrained with being an annoying bird, I don't want to be an annoying demon or horn person. Person of horn? I don't know.
Just a horny dude. Just a horny little guy. Every game that I've... Anyways, listen, we're not here to talk about tieflings. So,
well,
okay.
I try. It's not all about me. Because I draw your tiefling all the time. And it sucks because I don't know that much about them.
Yeah, I didn't know that about tieflings. That might be something else where they're born dead. Because tieflings, I've never read that about tieflings.
I try to actually get a grasp of things, but keep in mind, my brain is like an alligator brain, so I can't confirm 100%. But no matter what, I know that tieflings usually they only come in 2 colors, like the normal skin and red. But that doesn't stop people from making them all types of different colors, hues, shades, and aspects, which is very open ended. Aarakocra is supposed to have wings on their back, but I see people draw them like their hands are their wings. There's something out of a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Delving into some people's proclivities.
Or Legend of Zelda.
Yes, Cass the Wandering Bard, one of my favorite characters. So I think I'll probably just stick to bird people for the rest of my life.
Listen, there is nothing wrong with that. Birds are kind of tight.
I'm hoping I can I'm hoping that as we progress in these different chapters for Oops All Dragons, accompanying people, I'll just draw their characters included if they're going to be a new edition or something like that. Because I'd love for Tusk to not have to fight all these dragons alone, but at the same time, I feel like he kind of has to. And
come on,
it's kind of the bit. And also, he's not alone. Dot's there in the background.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Is Dot actually what's the lore here? Is Dot actually the cause of these dragons?
No, I think it's probably just...
We're adventuring, and then at certain points, Dot just I just need to sunbathe over here. You go handle that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the next dragon we're thinking of making green, right?
Sure.
I mean, you guys are the bosses.
Whatever color you want, man.
That's next season. We're barely in this.
It's almost next season, Lisa.
Oh my god, it is almost next season.
It's almost the end of the year.
Oh
yeah. It takes a while for me to draw these things, and each time I draw them, I want them to be more epic. So,
well, we can talk about how we're gonna kill my character next, in the art later.
Are there any specific moments from any of the games that you've played that stick in your mind? Interesting stuff that either you've pulled off or your players have pulled off against you.
So last time I brought up a church spider, but recent events, it's changed slightly. I think I may have found something that topped that.
Ooh.
And it's an in-game mechanic that I created so players don't become overpowered. So last time I talked about the players fighting a giant church spider, which is all well and good. I'll bring it up some other time. But it got me, I think it got topped by me including the IRS in my games.
Oh,
how?
Death and Taxes, the only
Oh my god, I'm so glad you quoted that. I just watched that movie.
I don't think I ever got that far in your game. How did the IRS get involved?
So, this is a separate campaign. There's a campaign I run outside of Flynn's that features a small group of mercenaries and explorers for hire. They essentially choose their own mission. I give them 3 to choose from every quest they complete. So once they're done, they get to choose what they want to do next. And there's easier ones that pay out less. There are harder ones that pay out more. Sometimes there are quests that have magical items as the reward included. But part of the mission is to hand over any weapon or magical item they find to their boss to see if they can keep it or need to sell it. You don't need to tell them specifically about this because it's funny that way. Just imply that they should, give over anything they find so that they can sell it, especially for funds. You don't want to give somebody a really high-level magical weapon and just, have them keep it during a campaign, especially if you're rolling for it. But in one that stands out, the party finds a monkey's paw during a dungeon dive. They know it's magical. We know it's magical. And my player Jason, the bard, pockets it. 5 fingers, so 5-finger discount. Instead of handing it over, he gets this at level 3, by the way. Instead of handing it over, he steals it. On top of his lucky feat, the monkey paw I made lets you reroll a saving throw, a check, or attack roll once a day if a friendly or willing creature within 10 feet of you subtracts 5 from their next saving throw, check, or save. So
That's interesting.
So he had this item that essentially allowed him to have all the luck in the world. If he's stealing luck, you can apply it to other situations too, especially if you're gambling. But every time he used it, I made him roll stealth every single time. And until level 10, he rolled pretty well. Until one day I asked him, like, hey, what'd you roll? He rolled a 1. From the shadows, a group of tieflings emerged. They were part of a group called Smaug. Smaug, S-M-A-U-G, the Syndicate of Magical and Unregistered Gear. Yes, they are the IRS of the magical world, which makes
IRS.
the magical IRS. I wanted to implement a system where if you try to use overpowered stuff, you can use it, but you gotta make sure that you can hold onto it, risk, reward. Until a certain point, he's been using this thing the entire time, and every time he succeeded, I added 1 to the difficulty difficulty roll each time. He eventually rolled badly. So they not only reclaimed it, they also taxed him for it, the essential cost of the monkey's paw, and everyone that was involved with this fiasco.
Did everyone else in the group get fined as well?
They got fined. Because
that's
from
a bad idea.
From a world building perspective, it would make sense that everything that they find that's not on a list, there would be somebody that wants to actually mark it down so that this magical item doesn't get into the wrong hands. A group that surveys magical items and other weapons to make sure that they're in an index for later usage and research. So if you do want to get it, you actually know what you're buying, or you at least know what you have on hand.
Regulation of the magic industry.
Yeah, and it's all well and good, but he got fined a lot of gold. So they had to take a lot of the harder missions just to pay up. And they would keep coming every day and take out a little bit of money from them. And these were tieflings in suits, and they'd hey, do you have my money? Pay what you can.
And I was gonna assume now they're under a lot more scrutiny. They're under the Smaug's magnifying glass.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now everything that they do, they have to be really, really careful, which they can still pocket stuff. But now they know if they do it, they are gonna have to pay some fines if they get caught.
And the more they use it, eventually there's going to be a time where they will fail.
Yes, and it caps at 20 just to be fair. Every time they use it, you add a 1 to the difficulty class.
You don't have to be fair.
I mean, I try to. It's just that sometimes they'll find really overpowered items on my rolls, or sometimes I'll include these things that seem so tempting to take. But I'm trying to tweak it. It really caught everyone off guard that tieflings just emerged from the shadows during the middle of the day.
Did they think it was going to be some sort of battle encounter, and then all of a sudden they bust out the ledger and all right, excuse you, I think you have something that belongs to us.
You got a license to carry that thing, sir?
Though,
for that? No, that's awesome, man. That's really fun.
You can iron it out. I'm still trying to find a way to make it a little bit more fun, or if you want to make it IRL more serious.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not a bad idea.
Like, it's a good way to garner people towards, like, if they actually take something that they probably aren't ready for, like, you're gonna probably get a lot of attention from, like, the higher-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fun way to... It's a fun... I feel like it's a fun, different way of introducing consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I actually got this just from, like, thinking, at least from a world-building perspective. Like, I brought it up last time. Sperm... like, the entire world and how you build it from those letters. Like, Varun taught me.
The sperm method.
So, I'm there thinking,
Yeah.
like, okay, if these magical items really did exist, there would be so many people trying to hoard them. Like Smaug, the dragon from Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just made up my own little IRS.
No, that's cool, man.
I guess so. It's all thanks to you, really. It really helped me world build. Reading One Piece, it helped me world build a little bit more, but...
Oda is very good at world building. He does that, like... You learn so much about the world just going through the little bits that you see that aren't involved with the Straw Hats in that story. So, yeah, that's a good, like, template.
I try to make it like that. I know I can't match his level, but still,
No one can. Who can?
It makes you, it made me at least relook some, just to close out, like the last few things is I actually opened up my old like chest of drawings that I made as a kid. I made some really dumb stuff, but I can say that even as a kid, I made some weird stuff, and looking back at it, that opens up the imagination. I'm actually like looking at these pictures and saying, how can I actually add this into D&D?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of like what goes into my games is that I never erase any ideas that I write down, because ideas are cheap. But if every idea is worth a penny, I'd prefer to invest, no matter how outlandish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're running that same campaign that you just mentioned, and you're also running for Flynn's, right? You're taking over for our friend Francisco?
Mm-hmm. For a little bit of time. I miss him so much. Francisco, if you're listening to this, we miss you.
Yeah. He had to move away a bit. So getting to the store is now much harder. So you're taking over for him. I played in one of your sessions just last
when
week?
You guys were in the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, that was odd. Because how does it feel playing someone else's campaign with like their notes and everything?
So he gave me a lot of liberty, like how to do certain things. The only thing we're trying to figure out now is how to get them out of the plane of water and back to a mainline quest, like the main world that they're from. And from there, we might also have to draw up a map, because I don't know where to go after that. I could just, make them do fetch quests, but Francisco's whole storyline is actually taking place in the future of another campaign, where we'll actually probably even meet our old characters that we made that are level 20. We're level 5 right now.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
I'd be careful with that sort of thing, because it has the
time travel.
No, not time travel. Like bringing in old characters, but now they're super strong, and they're controlled by the DM. That has the potential of just like making the newer players, because you have some newer players, just feel kind of unimportant.
I think it's more along the lines of they are trying to pick up the scraps of what we failed to do, because it's not a spoiler. We failed our quest. Yeah, and now it's up to like years in the future, like Samurai Jack levels of years probably into the future, where we have to pick up where our ancestors like failed horribly.
Okay.
And the Kenku that I play is directly connected to the antagonist. He's one of his sons. So there's like a lineage where he has to pick up where his father failed and, make sure that this world is peaceful.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that, and like, I trust Francisco in his storytelling, because he really does have a really good way of making his world really fair, but he's so challenging. Jesus Christ. He almost TPK'd all of us.
A couple times, yeah.
Hey, wait, no, you did that too. I'm looking at you.
That one I made up on the spur of the moment. I made the encounter a little too hard.
The question we always ask at this point in our conversation is there something that you know now about playing the game, about running a game, that you wish you would known when you started? Like, what's the one piece of advice you would give yourself when you first started playing them?
So it's very simple. Your characters will do most of the things for you. Like, your players will do most of the things for you. You can make a very blank slate of the world, but you don't have to be overly descriptive with everything. Essentially, give general descriptions and let them inherit the value of the world that you do, because you're writing a book, essentially, and the characters are what make the book so lively. They do most of the work for you, so you don't have to overlook every single little detail of your tavern that they meet, that they're probably just going to hang out for like 5 hours and do nothing anyways. So if you make that quest...
5 hours in game, not 5 hours in real life.
Oh, look, goblins. I want to know all of their names and befriend them instead of going to the main quest, which sometimes happens. There can be sessions like for Runeran where we don't even need to roll, and we can just role play and let our imaginations roll. Like when we were stuck in the cosmos, we didn't have to roll anything. We just kind of did it.
I didn't want to go into that one because the guy who gave me that idea is going to be on, and I want to talk about that with him.
It was really fun. Then I'll do it some justice and not mention it too much. But still, like I said, let your players do most of the work for you.
Trust your players.
Yeah, trust your players, because they are what make your world so colorful. Because you can make any NPC you want, and it's going to suck working on an NPC for 2 hours and all their backstories just for your characters to hog-tie them and interrogate them for money and other absurd things. Like, the door is just a door. So if they want to, like, contemplate if the wooden door is trapped, let them. It's more time for them to fight amongst themselves and make the situation a little bit more fun. Don't worry too much. And for all you new DMs out there, just relax. Take a breather. Like, I should wonder, I recommend you at least read Aragon, especially. Like, Aragon, it's a very simple book. In the beginning, it has a map of the world, and it's a very simple plot to fall through. And if you don't like reading, I recommend the graphic novel Bone, or if you don't even like looking at pictures that aren't moving, I recommend the anime Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
It implements an artificer system in a world full of magic, and that magic system is even simpler to explain. Great world building, and overall a very well explored world with like a good echelon of hierarchy. So those are my recommendations.
Solid Rex.
Cool.
Solid Rex. And I couldn't agree more about, if you're a DM, like, yeah, relax, trust your players, let your players have some agency in the world and some ownership of the world, because that's going to encourage them to feel more invested in it. Mm-hmm. If it's just your world and they're in it, like, your players might not really give a shit what happens. But if it's a collaboration between you, where you present them the sort of big picture and let them help fill it out, that's how you get people more involved.
Yeah. With your metaphor of the book, Lucas, it's like a coloring book per se. So you as the DM, you come up with the lines and then let them actually color it in.
Yeah. There's lots of YouTube videos on how you could even be a better DM. It's really your pick, because there's tons of play styles, but don't be afraid to like Google, and there's tons of people that are willing to help on YouTube, especially with Dimension 20, especially with anything Critical Role related. Oops All Dragons especially. Shout out to Oops All Dragons. I hope you're listening to this, by the way.
Actually,
you have the answers, so I recommend that you not be afraid to ask. Like, suck up your pride for just 20 seconds, because you can find results on Google in 0.00045 seconds.
That's another good piece of advice. don't be afraid to ask for advice.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that, like, for being a silly little game, there's this whole community around it that is, I feel like, more and more welcoming to new people, and really, we just want to talk about this game. Anybody who plays this game, we literally just want to talk about it all of the time. Let us talk about it, please. Ask the questions, like, don't isolate yourself and think that you have to, like, figure it out in a vacuum. Like, that's dumb. And just in general, in life, that's a good piece of advice.
That's a bad advice for D&D and for your entire life.
Well, like, you can look at it in retrospect. Like, they didn't even know what they were doing back in the 80s when they made it, like, all that much. There was so many more things into it, but now we have 5th edition, which is way easier for newer players to go in. Like, 5 editions, by the way, over the course of, 40 years? They're still trying to iron things out.
Another edition on the way.
Yeah, so if the creators of the game are still fixing the game, you have more than enough time to reflect on yourself and fix your own version of the game, your own little campaign. You don't even have to follow a lot of the rules. They're just implied.
Yeah. As long as everyone agrees, this is fair and this is how we're going to play. Yeah.
Fair and fun.
Yeah.
So, with that, I'm going to call it, and thank you so much for having me.
He's doing the outro now.
I mean...
Whoa, who's the outro boy now?
I gotta call it. Because we covered everything and we had fun.
Yeah. We got on, we had fun, we had technical issues.
Yeah.
Of course. Everything. I'll do the outro, I guess. Follow us on all our social media. You've got us on YouTube, you've got us on Twitter, Instagram. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/UpsalDragons, where, yes, we will be taking down the original episode at this fellow's behest, but if you want to still listen to the original, we'll have it up there. As well as a special little, or I should say large, rant that Lisa went on at a certain point. That's completely off the cuff, not part of any episode. She just went off about a lot of things, and we're just going to post that up there.
Listen, sometimes I just gotta talk, okay? It doesn't have to make sense. The words just have to get out of me.
Yeah. So, if you like this video, watch another one, because the algorithm likes that now. So just keep on watching. Keep on consuming.
Yeah. Just throw it on. Put it on the background while you're working.
We like the likes and the comments and the subscribes, too, though. Those are nice. It's just good to see. Good to have.
Yeah. Join us on our Patreon. Join us in our Discord. Again, our Discord only gets better and better with every person who joins it. So we would love to have you in our little lounge to talk about nerdy shit and what we're up to and get suggestions for what we should be looking at. It'll be lovely to have you.
Yeah. We have lots of new guests coming on soon, and we have our special dating episode coming up very soon. So look out on the social medias for that.
We have a special little different thing that we've been working on. But yeah, I think that covers it.
I think we call this an episode.
And that's it for us. Go home.
Why are you still here? The theater's empty.
Get out of my house.
Hey, look at this guy. He's still hanging around.
Oops All Dragons is a group effort. Our show is edited by Noel Hernandez, our theme was composed by Brendan Lyons, and our logo art is by Azif On Q. Links to more of their work and their social media will be in the show notes. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Oops All Dragons.